All right, so 11.6 applications of linear equations. All right. Have word problems. So I'm trying to see a good way of writing this word problem. All right, so here's the setup for the first problem. Since the year 1900, the tiger population in India has decreased linearly. A recent study showed this decrease can be approximated by, and we have this equation that's going to be what helps us moving forward. Y equal to negative 350x plus 42,000. The variable y represents the tigers left in India, and x represents the number of years since 1900. Okay, so the first one, use the equation to estimate the number of tigers in 1960. All right. So they gave us what x and y represent. Y represents the tigers left in India. X represents the number of tigers or number of years since 1900. So we want to know how many tigers are in India um, in 1960. So now if we're looking at the year 1960, that means X has to be 60 years because we're looking at the number of years since 1900. So the value that we'll plug in for X will be 60. All right, so then we'll plug it in. is equal to 350 times 60 was 42,000. So in 1960, expecting to be approximately 21,000 tigers in India. Any questions? All right, so next one, determine the slope and interpret its meaning. Your slope is always what's sitting in front of your x. So your slope is negative 350. And so this means all right, so this means that the tiger population is decreasing by 350 each year, and that decreasing coming from the fact that we have a negative 350. If it was positive, then it would be increasing each year. And just right now, what I said, your slope yeah, it should be two T's. So I was just saying that your slope is always attached to x. That formula is your slope-intercept form, in which whenever y is solved, like I said, the value attached to x is your slope. All right. So one more pertaining to this question. Let's see. All right, so for C, determine the x-intercept and interpret its meaning. Here comes the x-intercepts. Talked about that last class. Don't forget, y is always 0. Just like if we had to find the y-intercept, x would be 0. X is always 0 for your y-intercepts. So our equation is y equal to negative 350x plus 40,000. So it'll be 0 equal negative 350x plus 42,000. Again, that's where that comes from. Plugging in 0 for y. We can solve. 42,000 will cancel, leaving with negative 42,000 equal to negative 350x divided by negative 350. X is equal to, I think it's 120. Let's see. Yep, x is equal to 120. All right, before we interpret that, questions. Any questions? They told us to find the x-intercept. So for all x-intercepts, y is equal to 0. So we took 0, plug it in for y, and then solved for x. And we have x is equal to 0. I mean, x is equal to 120, excuse me, when y is equal to 0. So x is equal to 120 when y is equal to 0. So in order for us to interpret, you got to remember what y and x represent. I think I heard somebody in the chat. Oh, okay. I got you. If you have to tap out, I do understand. So y equals or represents the number of tigers left in India. All right. Why is this not right? Okay, hold up. All right. So y represents the number of tigers left in India. And don't forget, x represents the number of years after 1900. Oh, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Thanks for apologize. It's not a big deal though. You good to go? So 120 represents x represents the number of years, 1900, and then y represents the number of tigers left. So if we put that all together, what that means is, and we will add that 120 to 1900 in order to figure out what year we're in. That should be 2020. Huh, that's funny, 2020. This book was made a little while before that. So in 2020, there will be no tigers left in India. According to the equation, if everything continues in 2020, there will be no tigers left in India. All right. questions before we do another one? All right. So before I write any more information down, the monthly sales of hybrid cars sold in the U.S. are given for a recent year. The sales for the first 8 months of the year are shown in the chart, and I'll just write down some numbers from the chart. The value x equal to 0 represents February. So keep in mind, 1 does not represent January, 0 represents January, and 1 represents February, and so on. So let's see, find a linear equation to represent those. Okay. Then they give us x month number, y represent number of vehicles sold. So we want to write an equation that represents the monthly sales, and they wrote down everything, monthly sales of hybrid cars in the United States. But that's what's on the chart, and that's what I've already established in the previous wording. So we're going to write an equation that represents the monthly sales. So they give us, or they point out two of the points. They give you a couple points on the chart, and you can pick any of those points that's on the graph. So you can pick any of the points that's on the line. So once you do so, call, and you need two of them. Call one of them point one, which would be x1, y1. The other one point two, which would be x2, y2. is 0.014,000, 14,400, sorry. And then 5, 23,400. And once again, those points didn't come out of nowhere. They were on the chart. And I probably should have said any two. So all you need is two. Any 2 points. I'll just do this. Any 2 points on the line. All right. So from there, we will find our slope. So that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Did the slope formula last class. So that's 23,400 minus 15,400. X2 is 5 and x1 is 0. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's 9,000 over 5, and that'll be 1,800. So it was 1,800. So before we go to the equation part, questions? All right, so that means our slope is 1,800. And it doesn't matter which point we use. We can use x1, y1, or x2, y2, whatever we decided. I am going to go ahead and use the one I call x1, y1 already, because we will take those points, not those points, that slope in that point, and use the point slope formula. All right, so we're going to plug in for x1, y1, and m. All right, so that's 1,400. Oh, that's not 1,400. That's 14,400. I left off of 4. Sorry about that. 1 second. Let me. I want to erase. All right. There we go. And it's 1,800. And x1 is 0. Any problems with the substitution? So that's 1,800 times x on the right. And then we can add 14,400 to both sides. And y is equal to 1,800x plus 14,400. All right, questions? All right, so for this next part, use the linear equation to estimate the number of hybrid vehicles sold in August. All right, so don't forget how this is set up for us. We're talking about the number of vehicles sold in a month. That means this right here is going to be one less than what we what the month is normally called. So if it's at month 8, let me see. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. So August is the 8th month, but remember the way it's set up. January is month 0, or X would be 0, and then February was the first month, second month, and so on. So that means August is going to be month 7 according to the chart. Okay. So the way you have it set up is one less than what it would normally be. January is 0, February is 1, March is 2, and so on. So X is going to be 7 for us. And what we do is plug in the 7 into the equation. And that would be the answer, 27,000. So you expect the monthly sales to be 27,000 in August. All right, questions? All right, so we have at least one more as far as the examples that the book gives. All right, so a stack of posters cost the theater $19.95 plus $1.50 per poster at the printer. All right, trying to write this better. That's okay. And then, so A is write an equation to compute the cost C of buying X posters. All right. So you look at how you got it set up. C is going to be equal to cost, and then X is going to be equal to the number of posters. So when we look at our setup, it says a stack of posters cost the theater $19.95 plus $1.50 per poster. So cost is going to be equal to $19.95 plus $1.50. If you're talking about per poster, that'll be $1.50 X. So initially it's going to cost $19.95. If you're only going to print up one poster, then that's $150 times one. Two posters, that'll be $150 times two. Plus that $19.95 and so on. So that would be your equation. All right, so then it asks us to use the equation to compute the cost of 125 posters. So that means X is 125 and plug that 125 into the formula. I guess I can write that too. 125 times 150 or 1.5 is going to be 187.5, which would be 207. Yep, 0.45. So that's how much it would cost. $207.45. All right. Questions? Any questions? So we got 1, 2. Let's see. I think our last day trying to map this thing out. But while I look this up, any questions, concerns, comments? Okay. So we pretty much only have what, 3 weeks left of class? Okay. So that's it for chapter 11. That's it for chapter 11. So we have 2 more chapters to knock out. We got chapter 13 and chapter 14. We'll see if we'll be able to get both of them done. Probably come close though. But you don't necessarily have to rush and do 13 today. Try to section stuff off. But make sure you guys are getting the stuff done. Get that this semester ends earlier than normal. So if you are used to going into December, this semester doesn't do so. This semester ends about mid-November. I think it's like, from what I just saw, November 17th. That week of November 17th is when everything closes out for us. So I just need to check to see if we're doing, I think we'll be doing exams that week. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to do exams the next week because that's Thanksgiving. Yep, so I'm pretty sure we'll be doing exams that week. So keep that in mind as you guys are looking at work. Don't want to be too far behind because it'll put you in a tough spot. Always remember that if you want to meet outside of class time, that is available for you to do, and make sure you take advantage of that. Oh no, what happened to my sharing? Let's do this. I lost my screen. Here we go. All right, so I'm back. Okay, so make sure you take advantage of that. Do you know what the date of the final exam will be? I do not know yet. I'll make sure I find that out, and you guys will know within ample amount of time. So I need to make sure because normally you will block scheduling, under normal circumstances, and so this is different and new for all of us. So I need to see if they have anything posted yet. So I'll check on that, and as soon as I find out, I most definitely will let you guys know. But Yep, no problem. But most definitely know around about mid-November, like I said, that week of November 17th, when you look at your scheduling, that's when it says class is supposed to end. So make sure you guys stay on top of this stuff. You don't want to, be in a tight spot coming into that week where you got flexibility right now to knock your stuff out without that type of pressure. So, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, or you always can ask them next class as well. Outside of that, if no one has anything, have a great weekend, be safe, and I will see you next class. All right.